And good evening to all of you assembled here in this significantly large crowd to discuss, and give yourselves a round of applause, to discuss important national issues affecting our beloved country at this time. May I first acknowledge, of course, members of the local government fraternity, the mayor, deputy mayor, members of the council in the borough of Chaguanas, the other local government representatives present, stalwarts, members of the religious community, attorney at law, our own Brian Baig, activists, members of the press, assembled this evening in this hall for a very important discussion. Your political party, under the astute guidance of the political leader, has embarked on a series of public meetings targeting members of the community and constituencies across the land in what we refer to as pre-budget consultations. We are the only political party that we know of, certainly in the Caribbean, that engages the national community in discussions pre-budget to get your views, your ideas, your suggestions, your recommendations as far as the budget is concerned and governance of this country is concerned. And the UNC deserves a round of applause. Dr. Mego, our communications officer, will tell us the exact number of pre-budget consultations. How much? We have had 22 so far. It's very significant. And tomorrow night, of course, we continue in the constituency of Orupujis. So I invite all of you to the Lion's Den. And then on Wednesday, I think we wrap up and have the final consultation at the office of the Leader of the Opposition, political leader at Pinal, in the constituency of Siparia. Now, why do we do this? There's an important foundational principle here. A budget, in a simple way, and I want to acknowledge and thank our speakers tonight, Mr. Ved Siram, very prominent, dedicated, committed economist, writer, thinker, practitioner, farmer, and we could continue. Mr. Rishi Tripathi, of course, a dynamic, professional, stalwart, and many others who have spoken at our consultations across the land. A budget, in a simple form, but I am just simplifying, is really a policy statement of the government that is presented according to the law annually that outline government's policy, expenditure, and what we can expect from a government in office. That is what we call the budget. It is done pursuant to the law. The law requires this by September 30th, I believe. And so it is the role of the government to advance a budget called an appropriation bill, because you appropriate the different heads of revenue and expenditure in the government, meaning ministries and so on. It is not the role of the opposition to outline a budget. The opposition is there to give what is called a critical appraisal of policy. That's the role of the opposition. But this opposition, this United National Congress, has been, for many years now, much more proactive than that which is required according to our Westminster, according to our model of governance. We are much more proactive. We have taken it upon ourselves to consult the national community, members of the community itself, ordinary people who have views, who have their thoughts, who will speak, as we hear tonight, on agriculture, on crime, on poverty, on education, on health, etc., etc., etc. So while we consult with the stakeholders, meaning labor, meaning business community, NGOs, the religious bodies, and so on, we also have a responsibility to consult with ordinary citizens. And that has been a fundamental difference. You know, sometimes people talk and they say, well, what's the difference between the UNC and PNM? What's the difference? Yeah? And I tell people, I say, listen, if you don't know the difference, you come from Mars. You haven't been here. The PNM cannot and will never do what we are doing. Never. They cannot engage the people to get the ideas from the people, to extrapolate, to pull together the views of citizens to inform policy. And sometimes, you know, people ask me, they say, boy, where you just get all this talk from? Where does get all this language? And sometimes, you know, there are people who, for one reason or another, might be heartened, or they feel happy to listen to me. Sometimes people tell me they like hearing my speeches and so on. And they say, but where you just get these ideas from, this talk? And I tell them, I say, listen, I talk and get along with ordinary people. With ordinary people, with folks who work, businessmen, community activists, members of the religious community in the temple, in the mosque, the church, ordinary people who struggle every single day of their life to provide food, to take care of their family, to provide money for education. I get along with them, I talk to them, so that when they speak to me, I can better understand the problem. But do you know some of the solutions come from the people? I felt like gave me a good one the other day. He said, boss, I want to tell you something. I agree with the political leader. When all you get in there soon, reduce the amount of fines. They put all kind of fine, Brian, now for motorists and car and all kind of things. They increase the fine all the time because they want to get some money. He said, a man told me, he said, do you know that does encourage corruption? I said, but that's strange. What do you mean increasing fines does increase corruption? Something not makes sense. Explain that. The guy tell me, he said, hey, there are people out there, they tell you $1,000 for the fine, $800 to fix the park light, that's $1,800. The policeman want $300. All you understand what I'm there? He said 8 plus 3 is what? 9, 10, 11. Good. $700 saved. That is an amazing analysis. I never thought of that. But he says in the real world, it happens all over the country, and not here alone. There's a phenomenon all over. In the real world, people are doing that. They prefer sometimes to do what is wrong than what is right, because you have made the right thing oppressive. And I got that from an ordinary taxi driver, maxi driver. And I said, but you know, we have to look at that. Because it encourages a disorder in the society. When you do that, first to begin, you should not be punished in that way. There are other ways of dealing with that problem. Correct? Today, the government cannot buy dengue kits in the hospital. Do you know in the San Fernando hospital, we are told now they have no kits or whatever is the critical thing needed to test dengue? An 8-year-old girl by the name of Nelisa Narain, they call she Dolly Mama, a little girl, 8-year-old. She died from dengue. That girl could have gone on to become a fashion designer, an entertainer, an accountant, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. She could have gone on to do that. She died at the age of 8. It is heart-rendering to think of that, you know. To go to the funeral of your daughter or your grandchild at the age of 8 and died from something that is preventable. That is preventable, dengue. Shame on them. What a shame. They could not cut grass, they could not clean rivers and box drain and take care of drainage, so you promote this mosquito infestation all over the place. They cannot protect you from a mosquito. You think they'll protect you from a bandit? If they can't protect you from a mosquito, huh? So I tell you this because all over is the same thing. Look at the cable barriers along the highway. In 9 years, they could not fix cable barriers to prevent people from crashing and dying. A month ago, within the last month, 2 young boys from our area in South ran off the road. Had there been cable barriers there, maybe they would have been alive today. So no dengue kit, no cable barriers. The chemicals to spray for this dengue and defogging and so on, they don't have personnel. And the Alsing bosun, we're doing a good job. The best healthcare. And if he gets sick, he fly away. The best healthcare. If the Prime Minister sick, he fly away. He catch the cold, he go Miami, America, somewhere there. You staying here? Young people, then a 61-year-old businessman in my area, dengue again, died. A businessman on the East-West corridor, 43 years old, got a heart attack, went to Mount Hope. He waiting for treatment, pass out, gone. That is the state of this country. Look at the education. Do you know there are schools? I went to one Saturday evening for a function, begging for 6 years now to do repairs during the holiday. Now is the holiday, eh? The holiday will end in a week and a half. You know there are schools in this country that cannot be repaired. They cannot change bulb, they can't put a light, they can't fix toilet facilities. If you go in the school and you go in the toilet facilities where the children use, you run. And they don't have the resource for that. What they have the resource for? To fill their pocket. Now they're talking about moving what? Taking away the ship from the coat of arms. Now them have a fixation, Brian, with ship and boat and thing, you know. They might take them 3 ship and pack it up down Chaguanas too, you know. Now they want to move the ship. Because what they colonial and all them kind of thing. The coat of arms, every part of that coat of arms represent the British crown. The feathers in the coat of arms represent the British crown, the Queen and now the King. Huh? Every part represents something of the British crown. Rowley, you say Christopher Columbus. Rowley middle name is Christopher. Why you don't change that? He named after Christopher Columbus. Huh? That, and I tell you this with no disrespect to the steel pan, our national instrument and so on. We, the opposition UNC, voted in Parliament for the steel pan to become the national instrument. We voted for that. On World Steel Pan Day, the political leader, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, issued a very strong statement in support. It's not that issue at all. That's not the issue. The issue is that when you make this change to begin with, it requires a change of the law. There's an Emblems Act or something like that. You have to come to Parliament and change that. When you come to Parliament, who are you meeting there? Well, he going from the coal pot to the fire. Now, when you come to Parliament, you have to debate that before you make any change. The other thing is if you start changing, according to the law, the coat of arms change, then effectively you have to change everything. From copybook, start with copybook in the school. You have to, I come into that now, come into that. We come into that, your copybook, your driver's permit, your passport, your birth paper, your death paper, marriage certificate, divorce petition. Everything has to change because the coat of arms, according to law, will change if it gets through. But then they come into MONEY. They just changed the dollar the other day. A couple of years ago, they said they're going after the big fish, man. They're going to catch people who have money and they catch one pastor and he get back all the money. One pastor had a little change there, he get back all, every cent, because they illegally take it. Huh? Now you are coming, so that is really demonetization. They're coming to change the dollar again. That's what they want to do. Wickedity. And so that they are coming with this conmanship now, and that is one, but they are distracting from the real issues you face, which is water, flooding, crime, dengue, poverty, unemployment, infrastructure, road, a bridge breakdown right here in Chaguanas. What do you call the place? Perseverance? I think they sent 5 contractors to see if they could jack up the bridge. They want to jack up a bridge. Put a jack on it and raise it like a car. And say, look, we'll use that now. So you have no money to fix the bridge, but you will spend over $200 million or more to change out the coat of arms. To change that. That's what Rowley. So Rowley want to go to the people and say, you have no, is an election gimmick. He wants to go to the people and say, you have no food, you have no education, you have no job, you have no security, you don't have health care, you don't have nothing. But listen, man, you have a new coat of arms. That's what he's doing. It is a distraction because they cannot and have not delivered goods and services to the people. They cannot go and boast about roads, bridges. The murder rate went down. We want to say that. We did a lot of work. We did that. You want to say, when we were in office, we boast about how much schools we built, police station we built, housing, hospitals, man, all the hospitals here built by the partnership. We boast of the work we did in reducing serious crimes, the lowest, I believe, in 36 years. We boast about that. They can't do that, you know. They can't do that. Sporting facilities, laptops for the children. They can't boast of that. They will, how much? 100 schools built by Mrs. Prasad Bisasa, Dr. Gopi Singh and others. They can't boast about that. We change the coat of arms. That's what coming to talk about. That's what he coming to talk about. And he think people are so foolish. He think people foolish, you know. Listen, man. I tell him, I say, I want to tell you something. I born on a Tuesday, but I didn't born last week Tuesday. But I born on a Tuesday, but I didn't born last week Tuesday. I understand what he's doing. This is a distraction. The constitutional reform matter they raise is another distraction. That is gimmickry. They come with a gimmick now. We want to amend the constitution, change the constitution, blah, 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 blah. 9 years you're there, you change nothing. You talk local government reform, you change nothing. You talk constitutional reform, you change nada. Nothing. You come in now with a few months before a general election, we will have constitutional reform. Nothing will happen. That is just a distraction and a red herring. That they have nothing to show, so they come with this amorphous, vague, you know, pie in the sky kind of talk now with constitutional reform, the coat of arms and so on. So when you go in the grocery and you line up, you're pushing your trolley and you go by the cashier. The cashier watch you, she say, all right, we check all of that already. 200, 300, 400, 500. Tell she, listen, me I no money, you know, but we have a new coat of arms. Yeah, we gonna pay with that. This is the PNM, this is Keith Rowley, and this is nonsense. The Labas is named after a British citizen who was in their war or something, Beetham, all you know that? Yeah. Why you don't change it from Beetham Labas to the Rowley Labas? Change that. Start with that. Beetham is a old colonial. So let me start with that, the Rowley Labas. Next government might consider that. And name it after him. Why you just start with that? But you see what is happening is that they are desperate. They are desperate. This is now the moment of reckoning for them. They are desperate. They have nothing to show and they cannot do anything. And last week you all saw in the newspaper, they were going to give a company named China Harbor, known across the world as a company that was engaged in improper corrupt practices, banned by the World Bank. Banned. They're going to give them $500 million TT contract. When we raise our voices in the opposition, they first attack me. They say, you're wrong, you don't know nothing. We went through good procedure, everything good, credible, man, nice. 2-3 days later, you see the headline, scrapped. They abandoned ship. So if it was so good, why you abandoned for? Why you abandoned if it's so good and everything above board? Why did you scrap that? They get catch. But if you get catch after you thief something, you're still thief. Huh? If a going down the road and he get catch with 2 pan of paint that he thief up the road, what that mean? He get catch, he didn't thief, he un-thief. You can't un-thief. You get caught. Thief is thief and the HTC got caught. Now dangerously they scrap and they say we're going to retender. Why are you retendering? There was a second bidder, third bidder, fourth bidder. give the contract to the second or third or fourth, whoever qualify. Follow the procedure. What you return then? So China Harbour will come again through some other name for the same contract. Because the P&M bigwigs, the big boys involved in that, they want to give that contract. Remember in 2019, they had a next contract by a Chinese company named Gizhouda or something like that. Yeah, that is it. And they had to scrap a next contract with them. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have people who build houses. We have idle capacity. People park up all their truck, all their backhoe, all their excavator, everything park up. Workers not getting jobs to go to construction. But you bring in people from abroad to build houses that we can build here. We can build here. When we were in office, we took a policy decision that the only thing we will build with foreign help is where we do not have domestic capacity, where we do not have the people, the capital, the human capital to build certain technology-based institutions and so on. So quite rightly, we got people to build hospitals because that requires some type of technical expertise and equipment and know-how that we may not have. But when it comes to housing, people here could build house. But them fellas in the P&M don't understand that because half of them never build an outhouse. Never build an outhouse. So they find a way to make money by giving contracts. And they will give out contracts like nuts in the next few months before the election. They will borrow money to thief. Because they don't have any treasury. When we go in the treasury, Melville, when we go in the treasury, we go put a flashlight inside it, you will see cobweb. They have nothing there. They have cobweb in the treasury. They bust the economy. But they will borrow money to thief. And then leave me with a big bill to pay. Them is fellas who, when they go on a table for dinner, you ever go on a table, you eat your dinner, when the time comes, and they say, the bill come in, a fella go up and say, he say, hold on, I'm going in the washroom. And you see here again until they reach in the car park. That's how the P&M is. They will borrow all that money, leave it for us to go after, to see if we could pay the bill. They did it before. So brothers and sisters, this is the time we are in. Rowley is on the back foot. He is on the ropes. And and now he is in quicksand. And I have a simple formula. I always tell people, if I see a man in quicksand, I am not a heartless person. I am not heartless and thing. I will throw a rope for him. And I go let go the next end. I'm not heartless. I'll throw a rope for him. So Rowley is in quicksand and we must allow him to enjoy that position. We must not help him. Don't help him in any form or fashion. Let him stay there. They have done so much. They have suffered the people that dig out your eye, to use local language. For 9 years, they dig out your eye. Poor people now, they have people begging for a hamper today. People came from all over the place by my office. What they want food. They want food. They don't have food. I told a lady, I said, I have a hamper for you. Collect the hamper. She said, boss, when the hamper? I said, how do you mean when the hamper? It's a thing in the hamper to cook and thing. She said, back here, carry home. I said, why? She said, well, you could help me buy a stove. She don't have a stove. So that means you have to give sandwich and food and barbecue and thing. Because the people are so desperate, they don't even have a cooking facility at home. Look at the HDC now. They're throwing out people, evicting people when people don't have job. Now, when they get a job, when they had work, they went and get a house because they qualify. They lose their job. And HDC, now this heartless organization, is throwing people out at a time like this. So brothers and sisters, there are much more we could talk about, and I will tell you in days and weeks to come. But tonight really is just to ensure that I was here to congratulate the organizers, the executive of the Chaguanas West constituency, the mayor, councillors, activists of this area for a wonderful and very enlightening budget consultation, to assure you that your ideas, we have recorded your participation, registration, and so on, plus your ideas and so on, which will figure in the planning of the political leader for her budget reply in the parliament. She will maybe even call the name of people who made good suggestions and so on that we take. So your suggestions will not go in the dustbin. In parliament, the members, the political leader and others will quote you and your suggestions and your concerns. We have had victims of crime speaking in budget consultations. We remember that. We will go in Parliament and remind people of these victims. We must never hide from the fact, the truth, that this country now, almost every house is a victim of crime, of something. And on another occasion, we'll probably speak to that issue in detail. So congratulations. Thank you all for the very kind invitation. And I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, and may God bless you.